Jake Asman is sitting in for Michael K. We take you till 3 o'clock. Jets and the Bucks coming up tomorrow night at MetLife Stadium, the Jets' first preseason game of the year. And we're joined right now by someone who covers the Jets. You watch them on their pre- and post-game shows on SNY. He's also part of the NBC Sports family. It's Connor Rogers, and he's kind enough to give us a few minutes of his time. Connor, always appreciate it, my friend. How are you?
I'm great, Jake. Thanks for having me, man. How are you?
Now, I have to start with this because I think the last time you were on this radio station, the morning guys, Dave and Rick, they spent 5 minutes just totally manalizing you. How uncomfortable were you during that?
I mean, knowing how they are, it's easy to just dive right in. You know those guys well. It's a lot of fun. You have to, with them, just lean into it. That is the best way to do it. Don't run from it. Don't hide from it. Lean in, and you'll quickly settle right into the show.
I love it. That's why you're a pro's pro. All right, in terms of the Jets, let's just start with Glenn's decision to play the starters tomorrow. Do you agree with it? And then just how many reps, how many drives do you actually think we see from the Jets starters on both sides of the ball?
I completely agree with it. This is something that, at my day job, doing Chris Sims Unbuttoned at NBC, obviously with Chris, we talk about this trend a lot that, listen, there's the injury risk. You get it. That's football. Do you have to be careful? Yes. But it is noticeable the teams that really, really try to be overly careful in the preseason that can come out and have a really slow start. The Jets they haven't proven anything that they can afford that. And I'm sure you've talked about this a ton, Jake. It's always funny to say this about week one, but I do feel this for the Jets. Week one's a big game. You got to go down to Tennessee and you got to win, right? You got to kind of show the fan base that this year is going to be different. And that doesn't mean you're going to go, beat the Bills both times, beat the Patriots both times, win all these games where you're a touchdown plus underdog. But you have to show up in the games where you're expected to show up. And Tennessee week one is that kind of game where this Jets team that has a lot of new faces, young and old, they went out and got a lot of veterans in free agency. They went out and got some in the trade market. And then they had a ton of draft picks, and they used 3 of them. Obviously they utilized the multiple first-round picks and went back into the first round for Omar Cooper. They need to be up to speed and ready to roll. So do I think they're going to play 3 quarters of the preseason? No, that'd be absolutely insane. But say the first drive for the starting offense isn't really smooth and they want to get their legs under them, do I think they'll send the first team offense back out there again or even a third time? Yeah, I can see that. Do you want to give some younger players on defense a little bit more run? Like an Azareye'h Thomas. He has a good chance to start at corner, but do you just take him out after one series? No, these are guys that need reps right now. They need live action reps, not joint practices that just turn into fistfights, not padless practices against your own teammates. The preseason can help, especially when you have such a limited time.
You brought up the joint practices. Should we take anything away from the fact that it feels like the Jet offense at times struggled, including Geno Smith?
No, I think that, it's fascinating when you see, and I was there, I think it was their second padded practice, and they were going full throttle by then. I was not at one of the joint practices this week. When guys miss throws or guys' timing is off, this is practice. This is what training camp is for. Now, the Jets and Geno and, all of those things, they're not going to get the benefit of the doubt like a Mahomes would, like a Burrow would, because there's a lot to prove and they've left a lot to be desired over the last couple of years. But I think at the end of the day, it felt like both sides, and they always say this, the defense is ahead of the offense in training camp. You had pass rushers kind of just ruining plays on both sides. For the Jets, it sounded like David Bailey was doing plenty of that. On the Bucs side of things, it sounded like Ruben Bain had his. Geno missed a couple throws and hit a couple of throws. That's how practice goes. So joint practices can be a little tricky because it's almost like you're so hopped up on Mountain Dew to hit somebody else that's not a teammate. You see the opposite color jersey and you get so excited. And this was something when I was at camp right away that Olu Fashanu brought up. Like, they're just looking forward to practicing against somebody else. But there's all that adrenaline, and it's such a different environment because it's a scripted practice environment that there's only so much you could take away. But it didn't seem like the Jets were, wiped off the field or anything like that. And it didn't feel like, obviously, those level of struggles. But I do think it's why Glenn wants to see what he expects to be his starting units in an actual game environment under the lights.
Connor Rogers, SNY Jets, NBC Sports, Badlands, for all you Jet fans out there who are looking for a great Jet podcast. He's with us here on the Michael K. Show. Connor, you brought up David Bailey. You're the draft guy. I mean, you were the first person that I heard even talk about David Bailey as a possibility for the Jets many months ago. After reading the reports, seeing him in person, I mean, what do you make of the fact that seemingly every day he's doing something that's getting people's attention in a positive way.
Well, you love to see it, and if you're the Jets, you feel so good about it because I think when you write down the defense on paper and you look at them on paper, and we don't know schematically truly how creative are they going to be with Aaron Glenn. He didn't call plays last year, right? And you go back to Detroit, where Detroit had a good defense, but I don't think Aaron Glenn was categorized as, the way Mike McDonald was when he got to Seattle, a genius schematically. Glenn was more in the bucket of a leader, a CEO that can call the defense as well. So when you write all that down, you're like, okay, well, who's going to be the game changer? Who's going to get us off the field? Who's going to create havoc and kind of keep offensive coordinators up at night? That's a lot to expect from a rookie. I don't care that he was the number 2 overall pick, but the bottom line is David Bailey keeps checking the boxes, the tests along the way. It goes from OTAs, okay, you start out kind of slowly ramping up once again in a padless practice. Well, he's moving better than everybody else. Then you put the pads on. Now he's winning his one-on-ones. Now he's disrupting in 11-on-11s. And he just keeps really passing every test in front of him. Now it's going to be, can you do it in a game environment that, it's not the regular season, but this is the first NFL game for David Bailey. That means something. He's been rushing against a starting tackle in Luke Gadecki again on the Bucks. So, and 2 pretty good ones, in my opinion, in Armand Membu and Olu Fashanu. So it's real to me. People can always get a little crazy with expectations, but when I was out there, every time David Bailey was lining up for a drill, for a one-on-one or an 11s, everybody had their eyes really locked in on him for good reason.
Are you concerned with another rookie? Unfortunately, he's been injured, hasn't been on the field, with Kenyan Sadiq, who was the other, top 16 pick for the Jets. Are you concerned about just how effective he will potentially be at the start of the year with all the time he's missed?
I am, because unlike the other rookie that hasn't been on the field in D'Angelo Pons, when D'Angelo Pons played as long of a college football season as you can because they won the national championship. He's played a lot of college football, and his role could be a little bit more defined as, sure, he's going to bump inside a little bit too, but he's going to be a cover corner out of the gate. Kenyan Sadiq is a guy that, left school early, and there's nothing wrong with that, but he's going to be utilized in a lot of different ways. He's not just an inline tight end. He's not just a move tight end. You saw him play in the backfield. You saw him play an H-back kind of role at Oregon. You'd see them kind of motion him over and lead block. He does all these different things, which is why the Jets and Frank Reich especially liked him so much in the pre-draft process. Do you want to be settling in week 1 against Tennessee or against the Packers or whoever it may be? So Sadiq's practice time and installment time is very, very important, where I think you kind of have to expect a slower ramp up for him. And that's disappointing for the Jets, although in a different way, I think they're happy that at wide receiver, the depth has stepped up, specifically Isaiah Williams, and at tight end, Mason Taylor, Jeremy Rucker, and Jelani Woods have all had moments as well.
I've said this, Connor. If you just remove Jets from the helmet and just look at the talent that the Jets have with the offensive line and the skill position players, there's no excuse for this to be a pathetic offense. I'm not asking Geno Smith to be, comeback player of the year again, but if he's just competent, I actually, as a Jet fan, feel better about their offense right now than I do even the defense.
I don't think that's a crazy take. A lot of people listening will probably kind of raise an eyebrow when you say that, but when you really write it all down and even watch them practice, you look at it and go, okay, there's a lot of aspects of the defense, notably the secondary, in my opinion, that's really trying to gel together and get their footing under them. Where you look at the offense, there's continuity on the offensive line, and even the new guy in Parham at left guard has settled in quite nicely, honestly. And once again, we'll see what happens when the lights come on. At wide receiver, it's so funny to me when you read reports, because now the new report I see all the time is like, Omar Cooper can't even win the wide receiver 3 job. And it's like, when I was at practice, Omar Cooper was out there plenty doing really good things. And it's tricky, right? Because it's Adonai Mitchell has performed so well as their second wide receiver going back to spring and camp that Omar Cooper is going to have to go take away somebody's reps. But all of these points just highlight to me that they're deeper on offense. Yes, there's limitations with Geno. You sit there and you go, can Geno be the 18th, 23rd best quarterback in the league? Because there was a lot of weeks last year, Jake, and you know this, where it felt like they had the 36th to 40th best quarterback in the league at throwing the ball, whether that's Justin Fields, obviously even tougher with Brady Cook. So when it comes down to it for me, it's going to come down to what Frank Reich does with the offense, what he has left as a play caller, and does Geno pick his spots in terms of taking chances? Because Geno wants to push the ball down the field. With that is going to come some high variance play, but high variance can also mean some higher end outcomes in certain moments as well.
staying with quarterbacks here, what are your thoughts on Cade Klubnik and the fact that all signs are pointing to the fact he's going to be their backup quarterback as long as he just doesn't look awful in these preseason games coming up here?
Yeah, it's a little risky. I'm not going to, kind of dodge this one. I don't really align with how comfortable people seem to be with this. I think Cade Klubnik is the type of young quarterback that you draft and you put him in the QB3 role. And if you want to get him reps, which you should, you can have a veteran QB2 and have him split reps. Like, throw a placeholder name out there, right? Say you had Andy Dalton or whoever it was in camp. How many reps do you need for a guy that's played 1,000,000 years in the league at QB2? You could still give those reps to Cade Klubnik, but what it does, it protects you. Geno Smith hits his hand on a helmet, sprains an ankle, whatever it may be. We've seen countless quarterback injuries over the years. He's going to miss a couple games. Is Cade Klubnik ready to go, travel to wherever it be and be the starting quarterback of this team that is going to have to lean on their offense plenty? That's the stuff for me where, coming off the year he had at Clemson, I thought he was much better in 2024 than he was in 2025. And a lot of things went wrong for Clemson last year. And he's owned that. He's been very open to it. It's just one of those things where it sets you up for a little bit of risk that, they still have plenty of time to get another guy in there. Maybe they want to see what he looks like in the preseason, and then they'll get their answer considering he hasn't played a preseason game. I think he's had an up and down camp. I think he's had some good moments. I think he's had some rookie moments, and that's going to happen. So I am a little surprised, and I don't think the door is closed on them adding another arm, for the sake of just having a veteran presence behind Geno, not just Cade Klubnik.
And you know this because you watch this team year after year after year. Outside of, ironically, the Rodgers second season where he started all 17 games, if you're watching the Jets, there's always at least two starting quarterbacks that have to play. So I fully expect us to see Klubnik at some point. Hopefully it's not because Geno goes down and it's because they want to get a look at Klubnik at the end of the year if the Jets are out of it.
Right. And hey, Cade Klubnik week 16 is different than Cade Klubnik thrown in there week 3 from an injury, right? Like, that's a big difference in the NFL. So, and you're right. You kind of go by Murphy's Law at the quarterback position for the Jets, which I know is tough, but you just have to expect, not the unexpected. You almost really expect guys to get hurt and you to be in really tough spots. How many Tim Boyles and Bryce Petty's and Brady Cooks have we sat through in our lifetime now, Jake, especially in the drought era? So, yeah, it'll be interesting. Now, the beauty of this is, for Cade Klubnik, the opportunity is all his throughout the preseason, because if he plays with confidence and he plays a clean brand of football, he has a good chance to lock up that second quarterback job. But, I will kind of caution people. I see people already jumping into, like, can he push Geno? Can he be the guy of the future? And I would say let's take baby steps and let's see if Cade Klubnik can just be the QB2 right now.
Amen to that. Last one for me, Connor. You brought up just how big week 1 is for the Jets. You look at the schedule in the first 4 games, they're going to be a significant underdog in 3 of them. How important is just getting off to a decent start, stabilizing things if you're Aaron Glenn? Because people are going to say, well, how many games does he have to win to save his job? I don't know if it's just a win total alone. I think how they get to the wins, what it looks like getting there, that matters too. So just break down the path for Aaron Glenn to be the Jet head coach after the season.
That's exactly right. Not all 7 wins seasons are created equal. That's what it comes down to for me. I mean, there's a world where, and you said it, the Jets come out of the gate and they go to Tennessee, they play Green Bay, Detroit, and Chicago. Are the Jets 1-3? But hey, you lost 2 of those 3 losses. You lost by a field goal. You'd be sitting here and be like, they look more talented. They're a little bit more buttoned up. Now can you go beat the Browns and the Dolphins in your next 2 or 3? And kind of just hover where you're trying to scratch and claw to 500. That's different from you got blown out against every team except Tennessee in those first 4. That's the kind of stuff and that's a low bar to clear. I mean, we're talking about little steps, but with what this team looked like last year, that's a couple big steps from last year. So I'm with you. I don't think this is as cut and dried as the Jets win 7 games, Aaron Glenn is back, and they just run it back, and they're going to take their quarterback of the future. It's what do the 7 wins look like? How do you play in your division? Miami is completely rebuilding. Can you go sweep Miami? And then can you steal a game against New England or Buffalo and you go 3-3 in your division? And people listen to this are like, my goodness, this bar is low. But no, this has been really tough for the Jets to be even remotely competitive within the AFC East for a long time right now. So those are the kinds of things they have to do. Go win the games you're supposed to win. punch above your weight class in a couple games where you are expected to be outclassed, because all of those things indicate to me better coaching, something the Jets didn't have last year, and they have to show this year.
Amen. And I could probably assume this, but I don't want to make an assumption about you, Connor. You being a recent father, you're better equipped and more prepared for that role because you're a Jet fan. You've been through the pain. It's helped build character over the years. So you're just better off being a dad now. Is that fair to say?
That's right. It's called adversity, Jake. You have a blowout diaper or whatever it may be. You just unfazed because you go, nothing can hurt me at this point right now with what I've seen and what I've covered with this team, where I hate to sound so pessimistic all the time. After being at camp, I do think this is a more talented football team. And what I like about this being a significantly more talented football team, it puts the pressure on the coaching staff to maximize that, where there's not the excuses of you're playing with the previous regime's guys, or you got a UDFA in 7 different spots at the starting lineup. Go out there, develop the young talent, maximize the veteran talent, show schematically that you can match up with other teams, and you answer the bell for yourself and you get to coach here. All of them will get to coach here again the year after this one.
The Jake Asman Show is brought to you by PrizePicks. Check out PrizePicks right now. If you're a sports fan, they have something for everyone, especially if you're one of my listeners and you're gearing up for the upcoming Jets season. For player picks on PrizePicks, you just pick a player you like and you go more or less on a few of their stats. Check out some of the numbers they have for some of your favorite Jet players: Geno Smith, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Omar Cooper Jr., Kenyan Sadiq, and many more. PrizePicks should be your go-to. And check out their new offer right now. Play your first $5 and get $150 in lineups if you win. All you need to do is sign up and use that code HMA. That's PrizePicks code HMA. Download the app now or click the link in the description to download the PrizePicks app today.
The biggest contest we've ever seen.
Seriously, what's the guarantee?
They're still talking about it.
I think it's time to put the rumors to rest.
Showtime.
$30 million.
$30 million?
$30 million? $30 million?
That's $30 million guaranteed. 3 contests, multiple ways to win, no rate. Entry starting at $1,000. Enter in Nevada, play from anywhere.
Hey, here's the deal. Just got no chance unless you click on that like button. And you got to make sure you subscribe to the Jake Asman Show. You don't, you can get the out. Now let's go, Asmaniacs. We're built for this shit.